Hi, I'm Lydia,
And I'm Clare.
and this is our media evaluation of our film Qs1&2.
Yep, in this video we will be looking at questions 1 and 2, which are: in what ways does your media product use, develop or challenge forms and conventions of real media products?
And how does your media product represent particular social groups? Okay, so question 1, we split into 5 sections. We've gone for the 4 sections when you analyse any media clip: editing, camera, sound and mise-en-scène, and we've also looked at the storyline as well.
Yep, so I'll start us off with editing. So with our editing, we want it to be pretty conventional, so we'd have a linear storyline. So for that we used continuity editing and straight cuts, which are used in the majority of films, certainly not all, but we wanted it to have a very sort of realistic feeling. So we didn't want it to be jumping into flashbacks and what have you. We also used match on action to just give a different sort of point of view for it, and shot reverse shot, so you got an idea of the relationship between the two characters.
So camera, we used really conventional shots for most of it. We've got 2 shots, close-ups, extreme close-ups. I think we probably used a few more close-ups during the dialogue than you'd have in most films. While they were speaking and lying down on the bed, we had quite a few close-ups. And also our final shot is quite unusual. It's a 2-shot from, I think, from the waist down to the knees, and it's from the back, showing them holding hands, because I think we wanted to show that their relationship was more important than the actual characters. Also, a lot of our shots, the focus of the shot is slightly off-centre, which is quite unusual, challenging conventions there, because we wanted, again, it just to seem a little bit weird, which follows the storyline of it being a bit weird.
Yep, so on to sound. For the majority of it, it is only diegetic music, well, sound. We don't have any music until about the last 20 seconds-ish, where non-diegetic music fades in. This is sort of, not exactly challenging, but developing the current conventions for dark comedies, because like in Pulp Fiction and Zombieland, both of the music sort of cuts in, and although it's of the same, like, similar genre, like they're both very upbeat, there's a very clear-cut line between the sound and the storyline, but we wanted to just kind of fade it in.
So as Claire said, in Zombieland, when it cuts to the opening credits, they use this song, which is For Whom the Bell Tolls by Metallica. Which I think it is, in a way, it's quite happy, although it's quite heavy, which isn't, we didn't want anything that heavy.
Yeah.
But it definitely, it almost doesn't suit the mood of the world coming to an end.
Yeah, it sort of maintains being very like upbeat, and just, it's also kind of slow-mo-ish, which you wouldn't really expect from sort of like,
yeah, an action. It seems like
action.
It should be action.
Yeah.
And in Pulp Fiction, I think, which is even weirder, they come on with this song from the Black Eyed Peas. Pump It. And again, it just really doesn't suit the mood. It's just very happy for such a dark storyline.
And because it comes straight after them, planning a robbery, it's just, it kind of tricks you into supporting them. So you're seeing their actions, and then you're having this upbeat music, and it's kind of supporting what they're doing.
Yeah, and I think that's what we wanted, but we just didn't want it to come in so suddenly. We decided to develop that and have it fade in throughout.
Yeah.
And then finally with mise-en-scène, well, not finally, but finally of those 4, mise-en-scène, we didn't focus a lot on the mise-en-scène, but we did want to have, it was kind of a last-minute decision to have all these kids' toys, books, videos in the background, to show that they were kind of obsessed with their childhood still, which I think is quite a convention, really, with serial killers, or at least, people who are seen as a bit unusual within society, to have some kind of weird obsession that other people just don't empathise with. So then our lighting within the mise-en-scène is quite conventional. We wanted it to be quite natural lighting, because it would completely change the atmosphere if it was set at night with the curtains closed. but we wanted to show that they were quite open about what they were about to do and who they were, because that just made them seem a bit more bizarre, but also a little bit more realistic, I think. Yeah, so that's it for mise en scène.
Yeah. Brings us on to storyline then.
Yeah. So our storyline, we kind of, I think the most unusual thing about our storyline is that it follows, it's like from the point of view of them, of the serial killers, which means that you actually end up empathising with these very bizarre, weird characters, which you don't get in a lot of films. But I think, for me, an influence was definitely Appropriate Adult, which was a series on ITV, about Fred West and the woman who was assigned to be his appropriate adult in court. And you did end up empathising with this really horrible man, which it's actually quite a weird feeling for the audience. And I know for Clare, Dexter was an influence for you, wasn't it?
It takes a very different approach to Appropriate Adult, because obviously that was based on real life.
Yeah.
But Dexter is from the point of the serial killer, and you sort of understand his motives, and you're attached to him, not to the people he kills. And it's really weird, but it really does work, and that was the sort of thing we wanted to have. It's just kind of not do the same old, oh, I'm being chased by a murderer type thing.
Yeah, so that definitely does challenge the general convention of, especially horror films, where you follow the point of view of the victim.
Yeah.
So that's all.
Right, so now on to question 2. And this was quite difficult for us because we didn't really target a social group when we were sort of thinking about representation.
No.
We knew we wanted to do it about sort of youths, but we didn't really go into a sort of big stereotype.
We kind of just stuck to the general stereotype of the youth that you get, of youths. We kind of just stuck to the general stereotype of youths that I think a lot of elderly people, or, at least people think elderly people have, of these youths that are influenced a lot by technology and are quite violent and unkind.
Yeah. So we did want it to be about youths and sort of about these stereotypes, but then we also wanted to sort of challenge that stereotype. So our 2 characters, although they're young, they're not the sort of people who'd be walking down the street with their hoods up. We wanted them to be sort of a bit outside-ish, our main characters are wearing brown trousers and a sort of frumpy floral dress.
Yeah.
It's not the sort of thing you'd expect from a serial killer.
No, it's the kind of clothes that I think you'd expect kind of a nice young person to be wearing, so they're more likely to be trusted, which kind of goes with our whole thing of everything seems normal when in fact it's really not.
Yeah.
So we're just taking that stereotype and putting it right to the extreme, where these kids have been influenced by Grand Theft Auto to go and kill a load of people.
Yeah.
And steal some cars around the country. But like Claire said, we've got this twist on it.
Yeah, and we didn't really want to sort of, not exactly victimise, but sort of go into a particular clique or what have you. We just wanted it to be very general.
Yeah.
So that's questions 1 and 2.
Thanks for watching. Bye!